Right now, if you called this sport soccer in a British pub, someone would probably correct you. They'd tell you it's an American word, a dumbed-down substitute invented by people who didn't understand the real name of the game, and they'd be completely wrong. Soccer isn't American, it's British. It was invented in England by English students decades before an American ever used it. And the story of how that word got stolen from its own country tells you something stranger about identity than it does about sports. Let's go back to where this actually starts. 1863, London. At the time, football didn't mean one game. It meant a whole family of rough, half-organized sports being played across English schools and towns, and every school basically had its own rule book. Some let you carry the ball, some let you tackle, some let you do both at once. So a group of clubs got together and decided to standardize one version, the kind where you can't use your hands. They called it the Football Association, and to tell it apart from the version where you could pick the ball up and run, rugby football, people started calling the new, standardized game association football. 2 footballs, 1 country, and everyone needed a way to tell them apart in conversation. That's where Oxford comes in. In the 1880s, Oxford University had a very specific slang habit. Take a word, chop it down, and slap an on the end. Rugby football became rugger, breakfast became brekker, and association football got shortened the same way. Students dropped it to a sauce, then tacked on the and you got soccer. It's often credited to a footballer named Charles Rayford Brown, supposedly asked whether he fancied a game of rugger, and replying that he'd rather play soccer, though historians will tell you that story is more legend than fact. What isn't in dispute is where the word came from. Oxford slang, not America, not marketing, not laziness. For decades after that, the 2 words just coexisted peacefully in Britain. Football and soccer meant the exact same thing, and nobody thought twice about using either one. Newspapers used them interchangeably. So did fans. So what happened to all of that? Cross the Atlantic. By the time association football started catching on in the United States in the late 1800s and early 1900s, the word football was already taken. Gridiron football, the version with the helmets, the downs, the forward pass, had claimed the name first in American English. So when American clubs and leagues needed a name for the European game, football wasn't available. Soccer was sitting right there, already British, already understood, already doing exactly the job they needed. The American Soccer League launched in the 1920s, and from that point on, in American English, the word split cleanly. Football meant one sport, soccer meant the other. So for most of the 20th century, both countries were using both words, just assigning them differently. Nobody was wrong. Nobody had stolen anything. And then, somewhere in the 1970s, Britain quietly changed its mind. This is the part almost nobody knows. Researchers who've tracked British newspaper archives and language frequency data have found that soccer usage in the UK didn't just decline gradually, it fell off a cliff starting around the 1970s and kept dropping for decades. Sports economist Stefan Szymanski dug into exactly this shift, and his theory is that it lines up with something bigger than football, a period of rising British cultural anxiety about Americanization. As American media, American brands, and American English kept expanding into British life, the word soccer stopped sounding like harmless Oxford slang and started sounding like an import, something borrowed back from the country that used it constantly. So Britain did something almost nobody does with their own invented word. They abandoned it on purpose because it had started to sound foreign. Which means the argument you've probably heard, that Americans corrupted the real name of the sport, has the entire story backwards. The word is English. The people who stopped using it are English. And the country that supposedly ruined the name is the one country that kept saying it exactly the way Oxford students said it in the 1880s. So the next time someone tells you soccer is an ugly American word, you can tell them the truth. It's older than American football, it was born in England, and if anyone abandoned it, it was the British themselves.